Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody enjoy your lunch. I really like the food trucks and everything, so it's a great lunch. Thank you for coming to my presentation today. Before I start my presentation, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Ying Zhe. I am the director of card acquisitions platform for Discover Card. So that's the platform where a customer comes in to apply for a Discover Card. The entire customer journey from end to end. In my presentation today, I will first reflect on how we started, where we were, and then where we're at right now, and then how some of the key decisions that we've made along the journey that really helped propel the transformation forward. And then also how data and the metrics helped us to tell a much better transformation story, and then created transparency and the support across the organization. So we actually started our Agile journey back in 2006. So we built our Agile teams using Scrum processes. But at the time, our Agile transformation was really more toward technology teams and the technology delivery process. We didn't really get very far. We ask ourselves why, but now we know, because Agile is not a technology-only transformation. It's really the organization alignment that really is the foundation for us to be able to really make progress on Agile transformation. So like any large enterprise, you will have multiple business units. So Discover is no different. We have marketing, operations, and credit risk. And then these are some of the core disciplines that help us to run our business. So we actually align our business technology with these organization structure. So we have UI, UX teams, we have core business logic teams, we have the data analytics teams, sort of aligned to each of the verticals of our business. And then the problem with this was that, in order for us to launch a product, we have to get buy-in from all different business units together. We also have to then bring in all the technology teams that support each of these verticals. So as you can imagine, I'm sure some of the people that come from the large enterprise know, the coordination effort and also some of the prioritization battle that across all the organization is really what's slowing us down. So in 2016, we've started an organizational transformation effort. So this is where we're bringing all our business and technology together as one team and then one goal, but really aligned to the customer. It's not about marketing, operations, credit risk. It's about what the customer needs. So card acquisition actually was the first one to form what we call a value stream structure. So essentially we align all the core of the disciplines along what the customer needs are. So marketing, technology, risk, and then operations, and then technology aligned together as one team. This took away a lot of coordination and some of the battles that across business units on prioritization, and it creates all this confusion and ever-shifting prioritization that really cause confusion and also frustration across my organization. So this has really helped us and really create a lot of synergy across the business units and across the organization. We've seen great results. So in 2016, we've seen great increase in productivity. So our productivity really doubled. And because the teams are less distracted and we're focused more on the actual priority itself, on the customer itself, we're a little bit more predictable on how we deliver on our products. And then our time market has also improved. But by end of 2017 and also across 2018, we've seen all the progress we've made started to become stagnant. And then more importantly, actually our product quality started to decrease. So we saw more defects and things started to get slow. So we wanted to have a holistic view of what are the things that really are in our way that's prevented us from continue to make progress on our transformation. So from a platform perspective, our core system actually is a mainframe system. And then that's been with us since the early 90s. So it's been really old. And then over the years, we've added additional capability on WebSphere. So at the end, we have a large monolithic system that are onto different platforms that we have to support. And then also from a people perspective, because the complexity of the system, we only have 1 in 10 engineers that actually understand what goes on end to end to run a card acquisitions business. And on top of all of that, we also have, from a business and technology, we still have multiple handoffs between when we build a product between business technology and requirements. So all of this really slowed us down from a speed and the quality and also productivity perspective. So our conclusion is we have to modernize our platform, people, and how we operate as an organization in order for us to continue to make progress on our transformation. So we started with the platform. So our vision is to build a cloud-native system that really evolves with the customer and the business needs. We understood the concept of evolutionary architecture, but really we didn't have the expertise within internally at the time at Discover to be able to build this system. So we partnered with the Pivotal Lab. And then the first thing that we did as an exercise was this event storming session. What we did was we mapped out the entire customer journey as they apply for Discover Card. And then we captured all the actions the customer would take as they go through the journey. And then all the events that's triggered by these actions. So then we group all these actions into logic domains. So that come with the domain-driven design and how these actions and events that interact with each other, it becomes the event-driven architecture. So that's what we, at the end of our analysis, this is what we're gonna do. This is our vision. We're gonna build a cloud-native system that's gonna evolve with the customer's needs. And then also it's gonna be event-driven so that it provides greater flexibility. But having a vision is not enough. We have to be able to know how to build it, how to make it a reality. So do we want to build this system iteratively? Or do we want to build it like on the side as a big bang, where we will build a new system on the side. Once it's all done, we're gonna cut over from the old to new. So the decision we made was we're gonna build this system iteratively. So we worked with the Pivotal teams to use the strangler pattern to move the capability from legacy to modern iteratively. This really helped us to validate some of the key architectural assumptions that we made early on. So then we'll be able to learn from each iteration. So for the first iteration, we wanted to make sure that we're able to actually communicate between mainframe system and in the Cloud Foundry through a REST API. So with the first service that we put into production, we were able to do that. Based on that learnings, we're able to migrate our system one by one iteratively. This has great benefit, and I think this is one of the great decisions that we made in terms of how we approach this. One is we're able to leverage, realize business benefit much sooner. So as soon as you put a new capability into the modern platform, we're able to actually build on top of it. And then very, very quickly that the business can start to realize the benefit of all the cloud platform that can provide. And another key benefit is it significantly reduces the business risk. So when you start small, you build with smaller chunks. It's much easier for you to build, for you to test, and also for you to validate. So this is the approach we're still following as we move our capabilities iteratively from the mainframe to the new cloud platform. Once we have an execution strategy, the next top priority is to enable our people. So as we've learned from our earlier analysis that the team's domain knowledge and their engineering strength have direct correlation with the quality and speed and productivity. So we partnered with Pivotal Labs to help enable our developers and our business product team leveraging this balanced team approach. In retrospect, this is another great decision that we made because historically, we've always followed a outsourcing or staff aug model. So we weren't really invested enough in our own people and then on making sure they're learning the latest skills. So by investing more time and then energy and into our own engineers and our own product, it really re-energized all our teams and as well as the entire organization as a whole. Another key decision that we made is we needed to build a program-wide capabilities. So one of the decisions we made from very early on is we wanted to relentlessly pursue automation. That's one of the biggest benefit of the cloud-native capabilities, and we wanted to make sure that we built that capability that's program-wide, so then we can enable our teams to move fast, but also provide guardrails, so then they are not fall into risky behaviors. So we created a product team. The sole purpose of that team is to build and evolve the CICD pipeline. So over the years, over the past year, they've created their own roadmap. They have frequent feature releases. And to today, they've built a very robust CICD pipeline that currently enables our entire program. So that has not only the DevOps functionality, but some of the governance and the compliance, such as security scanning, code quality check, all that's built into the pipeline. So this greatly helped our teams to move faster, but also provide guardrails for avoiding some of the risky behaviors. So now we've learned how to build the product right, but are we building the right product? So another thing that we really wanted to focus on is we want to spend our talent that we invest a lot to this latest generation of engineering and product practices to make sure we're leveraging them to build the right products. So we evolved our product management process where we created a very focused group we call Product 360. So the purpose of this group is to really ask the why. Why do we need to build this functionality? Why is this feature important? Why is this more than anything else? How is this driving the business forward? This product group is coming from marketing, operations, risk, and technology. I'm actually one of the member of the group. By us, as the Product 360, help create the product pipeline and prioritize the product pipeline through ROI calculation, we were able to show our teams from ever-shifting priorities and then also sometimes unclear priority. So this freed up the teams to actually focus on building the product instead of focusing on what should I be working on next. This really helped reduce some of the waste we've seen in the past where teams are stopping on a goal because the priority shift. We also continue to evolve our metrics so that we make sure that we can help the broader organization to understand the benefit of modernization and also the ROI that associated with the modernization. So our measurements are focusing on really on three things. One is measure our speed, and then our quality, and then also our DevOps maturity. From a speed perspective, we're measuring lead time to change. So this is the time when from the product design to the product actually put into production. And then we also measure the error and the friction rate when the customer come in and engage us. And then also the change failure rate, which is when we actually launch a product or feature into production, how many times the change actually resulting a customer impacting issue. From a DevOps maturity perspective, we were focusing on how fast could we recover when we do have an error that's impacting a customer. When we put this metrics side by side between legacy and the modern, this is telling a very compelling story for the entire organization of why we needed to do this, why even though it's very, very hard, but we have to do it because this is the benefit that we're getting. And the best of all, our engineers don't have to wake up in the middle of the night to do installs anymore. Our installs are during the day. So the quality of engineers' life had improved a lot. I actually have two engineers right there, so they can attest. So this has also helped us to boost our morale and then really increase the productivity, because for the engineers sitting in the room, you know if you install during the middle of the night, the next day you pretty much have no productivity. So this really helped the organization to really understand the benefit of why we needed to spend the time and then the energy to do this. So where do we go from here? It's really a learning journey for everybody and for me personally. Transformation is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So it takes endurance, it takes persistence. So we've had some great days, but we have some really, really bad days. So more than anything else, it's really the commitment from all of us to not fall back when things getting really, really hard. And then there were days that were really, really hard. So in order for us to continue to sustain and improve, our focus right now is really on people. So we want to make sure everybody from the business to technology to have the commitment to this and not to fall back when it gets hard. And also to foster the culture of continuous learning. We are still on our learning journey. We're not done. Transformation is never done. It's just we continue just move on. But with the commitment of our teams, and then also with the organizational alignment that put into place as a foundation, we think we're going to be able to make this a success, and we're going to continue to move on. So with that, I'm going to take some questions. If you do have questions, please come to the mic in the middle of the room. No questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
So how did you get to those metrics? How did you go about collecting those?
So from a collecting perspective, so the lead time to change, we use Jira to track all the initiatives and products that we wanted to launch. So from the time when we start a product design to the time that's actually done, we will use Jira for that tracking. And then the error friction rate actually is tracked using analytics. So this is actually something our business closely monitor as one of the key metrics on how we as a credit card company, as somebody come in to apply for Discover card, we want to make sure that person actually finishes the submission rate. That's what we call. So we want to make sure there are no errors during that, and then that's being tracked with analytics through Adobe Analytics. And then the change failure rate and mean time to restore and the mean time to repair, those are all through ServiceNow and some of the operations tools that we use. Does that answer your question? Yep.
In the operating model, so effort sizing came before prioritization. Is that how you guys have it always been? Was it ever the other way around?
So that's actually we've always been doing that because we were following the SAFe model where we do WSJF. So for people that are sitting there that does SAFe, you always use size. So then for you to calculate this, WSJF score. We simplified this because when we use that, there were a lot of debate about whether it should be 13, it should be a 5, it should be a 10, use a number. So we simplified this is based on the actual value. So use the actual monitor value calculated by the size, quantify the engineering cost. So we say size is small is one team with this many developers, and then we'll calculate that. So then we'll be able to calculate ROI. So size was important for us to determine the cost of the build.
You mentioned some of the hard days and the bad days. What do you learn from them?
Yeah, so I think the hard days are mostly, for me personally, is explain to our business stakeholders of why this is important, why we need to do this, and the benefit of this. I think some of the metrics that we developed was really direct correlation of how do we tell the stories a little bit better? Because I would be called into the stakeholder, why are we doing this? It consumes so many resources. Why do we have to do this? So I partner with our business partner. This error friction rate is one of the great examples because we're able to use that to really calculate direct business benefit of by reducing this, we're able to get this many new accounts with no marketing cost. This is why we need to do this, and this is what the business benefits are. So that's one thing that sometimes make my day really stressful and hard. And then another challenge that we constantly have that make days really, really hard is, I mentioned it earlier that we're doing more iterative approach. So that means we're constantly managing a legacy platform and the new platform at the same time. So that's extremely hard. Even though it's the right approach, it does make it really hard. And we have to constantly balancing where do we build the new on the new or versus the old, and then how do we, again, explain that to our stakeholders why this is very important for us to build on the new, because if building a legacy, it takes just long, it's gonna create tech debt, some of these constantly conversations, and then to help that. And then lastly, I would say it's really on the operational side. We've had times as teams mature, we'll put stuff into production, not causing an issue. So there are a lot of people like, why did you do this? Why did you put the stuff in the middle of the day? Well, we kind of need to mature into this is like sort of working with the entire organization to understand we got to do this. We need to put stuff, the safety guard into it to making sure we mature into it. I have my platform team here. He knows some of the hard conversations that we have to have with the organization that has never done this before. We're the first doing it, so it's a lot of those conversations that make it really difficult. Yes.
On the data side, have you gone through a similar modernization, or did you really start more on the platform and application side?
Yes, so we actually have a what we call advanced analytics group that are going through similar modernization on how do we move the data into the cloud. and build all the tools and the capabilities that sort of enable our analytics business, our data scientists, to be more productive and be able to use that. So they've made great progress in that as well. Yeah.
One follow-up question, are you still using mainframe or are you looking at
We're not done yet. So we've, at the moment speak, we're about 50% done. So we're still got a lot to move off. But I think the benefit that has shown, it made it everybody to understand why we need to do this. Yeah?
That benefit, do you have any kind of dollar amount associated with this benefit?
I think the dollar amount that we associate with this is mostly on with the customer, the friction, the less friction on the customer, that they actually not abandoning their journey, they continue to finish. That's really the most compelling dollar amount we could come up with. Through analytics, we're able to see, because we have higher submission rate, this is how many new accounts we're able to book without marketing cost. So because somebody already came, they came and then applied. In the past, they weren't able to finish because whatever problems we had with the system or with the process. But now they're able to finish, so that directly correlates to the dollar amount, which is what really helped the organization understand the benefit of this. There are obviously other not quite quantifiable benefits, but those we, through, again, these metrics to show them, to show people that, even though this maybe not directly correlate to a dollar amount, but if you really go deep, dig deep, and then look at it, the productivity that increase, and then all eventually translate into dollar amount. But the biggest is through the friction rate reduction.
Team and project level metrics, were they similar or did you have something different for their progress?
The team level metrics actually we use different. So for team level metrics, what we really looked at is their volatility. So the track teams from iteration to iteration, what's their volatility? We also look at their bug rates, and then look at it, how long a story is sort of sitting from delivery to acceptance. So there are a lot of different metrics that we really use just from the tool itself and analytics to look at the teams. But program level is really what we call the success metrics. And then for the team level is really improvement metrics, is really for the teams to look at themselves to say, from iteration to iteration, how do we improve ourselves? The program level metrics is how we sort of show to the organization about how things are going. Yep.
Do you have the top executives commitment, or this is the bottom-up type of activity?
Very good question. So I mentioned earlier that in 2016, when we did a organizational transformation, that's from our CEO, current CEO, that we need to do something different. That forming of this value stream structure and align the business and technology across is really the foundation. Without that, we wouldn't be able to do this. So it's almost, this is an evolution to what we already done. This is more of how do we make it even better given the gains we already had with that organization alignment.
So you're trying to eventually migrate all the apps off the mainframe?
So right now, I think where we're working, the apps that I own is the card acquisitions. That's where we're focusing on. Just like everything else, we wanted to test and learn and making sure that we iterate into it. Perhaps But right now, I think we wanted to sort of making sure use ours as a use case of how we do this type of transformation in a large scale.
So for every one of the services you're migrating off, are you using the same metrics to justify business case?
So I think each metrics is different. So I'll give you an example. So the part that has a direct customer correlation is the easiest for us to justify. There are other metrics on the business side that we're also working on is, for example, one of our operational metrics is how much applications that are actually queued, meaning they weren't able to instantly getting an instant decision, either approve or decline. It had to be queued for a variety of reasons. Sometimes because system issues, sometimes because we weren't able to validate verify somebody's identity. So that's another metric that we use between old system and a new system. We should reduce some of the queue rate because of system errors. So that's another metric that also track on the operational side. Anything else?
So in this credit card industry, so a lot of fintech companies are emerging, and so you're utilizing your platform. Your idea is building the system yourself or working with fintech companies. So is there any chance or influence or working with fintech companies or compete to fintech companies?
Yeah, I think there's some core capabilities as a credit card company you just have to have. Otherwise, you're not running a credit card business. But I think some of the capabilities that fintech company comes with, for example, fraud protection, ID verification. There are a lot of products in a fintech company that we can easily plug in and then working with them together. It's not, sometimes it's a competition, sometimes it's not. It's really for us to be able to tap into some of the products on the market. And then this is, again, another reason the modern platform help us to be able to plug in quickly with an external product. But we're building this because these functionality we're building are the core capability that a credit card company just need to have. Yep.
You're saying it's an iterative approach, and you're going to continue to evaluate as you migrate these apps off of a mainframe. But how do you continue to evangelize support and the good news that you continue to listen?
Yeah, so we work with our teams to do some launch and learns across the organization. We just recently did one that was sold out within 24 hours. So there's definitely a lot of buzz within the organization, and then there's definitely generate a lot of excitement. But I do agree, I think scaling this is something we still have to figure out. It's just because it's the skills. It's really, again, come to people, is you have to have the right skills, the right mindset. And then again, is the commitment to not fall back is what we have to continuously working on. But I think this is something that's definitely is a case study even within Discover. So then we look at how do we, replicate this, or how do we continue to scale this across the organization. All right, so I think time-wise, am I good with time or? Okay. I'll stay behind. If you have any questions, please come forward. But thank you for your attendance.